Hello and welcome to Rediscovering Childhood, a podcast that brings you lots of practical information to help you become a more conscious parent. This podcast is brought to you by Discovery Playtime, an Irish business that provides high-quality educational and sensory toys to help your children develop skills through play. Visit discoveryplaytime.ie or download the app to get inspired. Hello, Maria. How are you?
I'm great, Maria. How are you?
Maria from Treasure Toys.
That's
Why Treasure
right.
Toys? And what is it? Tell us all about it.
So I suppose the idea for the business came to me because I was shopping around for treasures, toys that were in good condition, that maybe weren't new, and I struggled to find a single place. So I had this idea to create Ireland's kind of first pre-loved toy storefront, but not for all toys. I suppose that's quite important. I had my own experience of parenting, especially my second born. I have two children, and my own experience was one where I realised that I wanted to buy more durable, better quality toys and perhaps spend a little bit more on a better quality item or product, and then be able to see that being played with in a variety of ways. So I was very much looking myself for things that I could get for maybe cheaper, that had lasted a family longer, and I could get that pre-loved. And there are places, marketplaces and, places to buy those things, but there wasn't anywhere central to do that. So I came up with the idea of creating a toy shop that had both new and pre-loved, and that's treasuredtoys.ie.
Love it. And
based online.
Why is it important for you that the toy is good quality and durable?
I suppose the reason that I think that's important is because, yes, you might pay more for it at the start, but if you're buying something that's of a higher quality, made a bit better, made with maybe more traditional methods, doesn't have elements that are more liable to break, you're more likely to get a lot more life out of that toy. So, for example, something that's made using traditional methods that doesn't have too many plastic components, or something that doesn't have a battery operated component, is much more likely to be played with longer for a start, because something that breaks with a battery component, once that battery component is gone or broken,
that's when the fun begins.
The toy is often rendered invalid by the child itself. If the child is used to playing with something that makes a noise or does X or does Y, and then it stops doing that, it's often just put in a corner or put in a charity bag, and that's fair enough. I think the child that gets it from the charity shop when it's broken and doesn't have the sound will get longer play.
It's the expectations of what it does, isn't it?
Are different, exactly. So I suppose high quality and durability from a toy production perspective are important in terms of the longevity of a toy. And the whole concept of treasured toys then came from the fact that I myself have toys that my parents kept, or my mother, I'm sure, was the main instigator in keeping things. We were lucky enough to have the space. She kept a lot of our old toys, and my children and my nieces and nephews are now playing with those toys. And I think it's because they made investments into good quality products, and then those products lasted. It's not that we didn't love our toys and play with our toys. Of course we did. They're not undamaged, but they are still very much playable with, and I suppose the durability comes into play when it lasts not just the lifetime of one family of children or extended family of children. The real test is when it's treasured and becomes an heirloom and comes back out of the attic in 20 or 30 years' time. So that was sort of the overarching inspiration for the sourcing of the type of toys that I have in the shop.
Yeah. And what toys do you remember being the best? Like, toys are kind of a memory as well. They become memories, don't they? And
Absolutely.
It's so important. And I think I see toys as the connector between the child and their environment, and the child and their parents when they're playing together, or the child and their friends. That's the toy is the connector that creates that sparks that creativity and imagination and all of that.
Yeah.
So what are the toys you remember from your own childhood?
Oh my gosh, well I think the overarching one has to be the favourite, Lego and Duplo.
Yeah.
That is, I know there's so much of it in circulation, but have you ever seen anyone throw out Lego?
No.
Never. So all we're doing is creating more Lego.
And it's never enough.
But it's never enough Lego. And like that, yeah, my kids' first Duplo and first Lego that they played with was stuff that was from my parents' attic. Like,
Wow.
And, then got the collection built, and I was able to separate out the old Lego, for example, and put it aside, and now that's waiting for when my nieces and nephews are old enough to play Lego, not Duplo, and it's waiting. It just as it waited for my kids, it's now waiting. So that's the number one up there. There's little Duplo animals, that farm animals that very, very vintage.
And that just goes to show that the more room it leaves for your imagination,
yes,
the more you like it. And we sometimes get carried away for the ads and pictures and videos and things to think, oh, that's amazing.
We're very often influenced.
But
sometimes the traditional toys are the best, know. And I think that's really the case. Like sometimes, I might, I do a few markets here and there, and I would often meet parents or grandparents that would ask, well, what does this toy do? And I said, well, it doesn't
whatever
have
you
to
want
do
it to do.
whatever the child wants it to do, know. Examples could be something like blocks. Blocks can come in any shapes or sizes. Like the toy that I wanted in my own children's lives for so long, and I finally got it on my second born, was the Grimm's Rainbow. And I remember being talked out of it by the shop owner that I was looking at it in, because he said to me, I just don't think there's much scope, it doesn't do much. And I remember going, oh, well, I suppose, if it's coming from the store owner himself, and he's kind of going, nah, I just don't think this has a lot of openness to it. If you want blocks, get something different. Well, I never let go of this vision of owning this Grimm's Rainbow for my kids. And it is played with 4 or 5 times a week. It is out, played with as anything. And that's exactly it. It becomes so many different things in a child's imagination, gets used for different things, gets used with other toys, without other toys. As they get older, it doesn't have to do anything and doesn't have to have what it does on the box for the child to be able to play with it and use it as a plaything. And I think that's where, I suppose it's challenging the growing perception that a toy has to do something for the child. In fact, opening the world of play for a child gives that child way more scope for play. And so that's just the concept of open-ended toys, and open-ended play is just...
And that's right. I was actually yesterday, I came across this problem, okay? I had to make 2 sandwiches for my 2 kids for school, and I only had 3 slices of bread. So here comes my problem solving skills, because I had, the final slice, that's all crumb, like it's all hard. So I took the cheese grater, and because it was frozen, the bread, I grated that side of the bread, and then I had 4 slices, and that comes from play. From thinking outside the box, the imagination, problem solving, all these things you do when you're playing, and then in your real life. I wouldn't have been able to make a sandwich for one of my kids, and then how do I choose which one's getting the sandwich?
Which one's getting the dodgy end? Like, No,
so
you're so
things
right.
like that's what play's for.
Play provides those foundations of being able to apply. Like, people think, oh, they're just playing. They're not just playing. They are building skills for later life, and that's so important. And I think that it's not a one-size-fits-all either. It's not for every child. Some children respond to this type of toy. Some children respond to that type of toy. It's about providing variety, but you don't have to go overboard with it either. And I suppose that's where quality comes in. Like, often these toys are at a higher price point, and I often get asked, why are your toys so expensive? Well, there's a lot of elements to that, but one of the reasons why I say you should buy the toy, if you want to buy the toy for your child, is because I'm guaranteeing a quality and a longevity and a durability of that toy that will make it last for so long that you will see it'll be such value for your money at the end.
It's
of the
the
life
proportion
of
the price to how much they use it. It's like the price per minute played with that toy.
If I look back on how much
it's
I
so
spent
low
on, say, the Grimm's Rainbow, like that's cost me a cent a day at this point. Do you know, at this point in time, or a cent per play at this point in time. That's how many times I've played with it. So, like, I don't see. Yes, the price at the start, of course, is a factor, but you've got to think about, is this toy going to give me bang for my buck? I always like toys that will be used in so many different ways and elements that really provides value for the money that you're spending, even though that price point might be higher. You might be tempted to buy something that's maybe a knockoff or a dupe or something similar that maybe does one of the things that this higher quality toy might do, 3 or 4 other things as well, or offer opportunities for play in 3 or 4 other areas of a child's development. If you go for the cheaper or the more streamlined option for that type of play, for example, then you're kind of limiting potentially what the child can do with that toy. So yes, you're spending less money, but the child will play with it less also in the long run. Over time.
Absolutely. But yet we don't have, we question the price of these toys, but yet we've no problem spending €500 on a new phone for a 6-year-old or tablet. And that's what kills me.
Yeah. And look, I suppose it's not about judgment either. Like, there's a place for all of it in the modern child's life, and we've got to, I suppose, accept that. But at the same time, it's about...
But it's the balance.
It's
like,
my child starts...
Yeah, exactly.
It's about making those decisions for a child's stimulation and a child's activities in a conscious way, and providing those things that are maybe not as dependent on a screen or an electricity source even. Getting the child out into nature with their toys, getting the child dirty, messy play, I'm talking to the queen of discovery playtime, messy play and play accounts, but like it's about mixing all of that together and being able to say that they've had opportunities to just connect with their toys on a really basic level, because that's where the learning happens and that's where the skills building happens for later life. And you don't get that from a screen or indeed from a school book. I'm going to say, they're sitting down for, like, I remember when my younger boy started school, he said, we're sitting for so long. I don't like all the sitting. And like, it's just like, I know they're not sitting all the time, but it was by comparison to play school. And there's a reason people call it play school, because they play. And then they get to big school, and of course there needs to be learning, but if it's done in a more sedentary way, like they're not gaining that.
But just because it's always been like that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
No, that's it. It's true. And it's about, if that's what they're getting at school, it's about providing those opportunities after school that brings them right back to their gross motor skills, that brings them right back into their bodies, and let them move, let them play, let them do things with big toys, small toys, more focus, less focus. It's all important. You can't, it's not a one size fits all. Every child is different, but it's about providing those opportunities. And I hope my toys do that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. I love the wooden camera.
Yeah.
You still have that?
Oh no, that's out of stock.
Okay. Damn it.
But I'll be getting it back in now.
Very good.
There's a certain period coming up now where I'm going to need to restock
the C word.
And it's a funny time for me, because I'm a little bit, I'm very pro underconsumption. I'm part of underconsumption core, I really like, that's sort of the pre-loved side of it, ties into sustainability for me in a massive way. And I struggle with the sell model of social media marketing, any marketing really. I suppose people do need to buy, but it's about buying consciously. And I think if you're buying something that's been sustainably made, even if it's not, if it's something that's going to last you a really long time, that in itself is a very sustainable purchase.
Like
you're
Lego.
not having to go like Lego or like something unbreakable, anything unbreakable. Kinetics is a great another example. Like Tough Trays, all of these things last. They're things you stock that aren't necessarily made from sustainable materials like my toys would.
But you're not going to have to make one every week or buy one every week.
They're of equal importance, because ultimately, that Tough Tray,
it's tough. It's tough,
but also it's going to end up in the shed, as a table or whatever. That's going to have a life after it's been a toy, or like anything that has the quality and durability attached to it is a sustainable purchase in and of itself. Even if you're choosing, you can't get away from plastic, I suppose, in a lot of ways. But once you're choosing something there's going to be longevity in it, and that's where the pre-loved comes into play, because pre-loved is such a sustainable option for those things as well, and it just means that if someone's done with it, like I completely appreciate that people still apply or put a monetary, a financial value on the toys that they bought for their children, especially if they've invested money in really high quality toys, and then to be able to sell it for resale or to another family if there isn't anyone to pass it on to. You know, that's a very important part of the circular economy, is providing a space for people to sell on. And then my role then is to resell. And it's been great. Like, it's just been so well received. Anyone I speak to about it is like, this is such a great idea. And the toys are of such great quality. I pride myself on the condition of the pre-loved that I source. I don't, like, it's quite a work intensive process, but I like to keep it that way because I want to like stand over the quality of the pre-loved that I stock in the shop. A lot of it doesn't even make it onto the website. It's gone that fast. Like, if I feature it on Instagram or if I take it to market, it's gone. Yeah, so it's great.
That just made me think what you said about sustainability.
Yeah.
It just brought me to party bags.
Yeah.
With all those plastic rubbish things inside, just for the sake of giving a party bag. When you're already inviting them to a birthday party.
Yeah, it's true.
What alternative could you suggest, or no party bags? Or what ideas?
It was a friend of mine that gave me this idea, and it was really well received, and I did it for my own. You know, it's also cost. I just wrapped a bigger item in brown paper, and it could be any paper, like it's whatever paper you have is the best paper. Yeah. You know, newspaper is fine too. Yeah. The child isn't going to care about the packaging. Absolutely. I'll come back to that because that's important coming up to Christmas. But like, I think that, you know, wrapping one item and having something to give them is still nice. Yeah. But it's a fraction of the cost. You could have picked it up somewhere, or you could have made something with the child ahead of their birthday party. Handmade is actually lovely. Do you know? And like, maybe not for the youngest among us, but for a certain age group, it's like, it goes back to convenience. But if you've got the time, it's a much nicer thing to be able to do with a child. And, you know, it's an opportunity for connection, to prepare something together for their party to give to their friends at the end. And connection between them as well, bringing something you made home. Yes. Absolutely. Part of you. Yeah. Or, you know, and it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a token, you know. There's so many ideas on the internet. Yeah. You know, you could find something that you could do together and make 10 of them and give them one each. And there's your little party favour. Going away from party bags and calling them party favours, you know. Or like, it's challenging the culture of what's expected. Yes. Like, you don't have to do what everybody else does. You can do something different, and oftentimes it's well received. You know, so just be brave, and you don't have to go. You can go against the grain. You can do something different, and you know, and it's the same with, I suppose, Christmas purchases. You know, like the pre-loved movement is growing all the time, and I think, you know, people should really consider whether they need to buy something new just because it's in new packaging, because particularly for the under 5s in our lives, they don't really care what packaging it comes in at all. They care what's inside. And like, if you're already wrapping that, and what's next, and what's next, so true, isn't it? Yeah. Boom. Next. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, if they're tearing wrapping paper off a present, like, what's the difference if it's in a box inside that wrapping paper? Not much. So, you know, there's a real opportunity here to kind of challenge how we buy at Christmas time, how we consume, and if we're recirculating pre-loved, like, it's a huge passion of mine to see that grow in the toy industry, because I think there's such scope and potential there, do you know? Yeah. How are you finding managing work-life balance? Tricky, especially like now it's getting busier. Kids are back at school, which, you know, should be great for routine or whatever. It's not. It's not. There's something waiting for you there in the corner. Yeah, look, I mean, it's about, I think it's about giving yourself as a mother and as a business owner a lot of grace, I think, at times, and just, you know, being able to accept that it's not all going to happen at the pace you want it to happen. Especially like for me, I came from a quite stressful environment, not a corporate environment, but you know, management environment that required a lot of my time and a lot of my headspace outside of work. And yeah, like COVID, like for a lot of people, changed my perspective entirely on that and reminded me of what's important. And and having left that behind, I'm very conscious I don't want to go back to that just because I'm working for myself. I don't want hustle culture to determine how much time I spend with my kids. They're only young for a short time. It's like that quote that says, I left my 9-to-5 job
to become self-employed and work, whatever hours I want. And now I work 24/7. What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not, sometimes it's not going to be the top priority. Some weeks are much better and other weeks are much less productive. And it's just about kind of riding those waves and enjoying the process and just making sure deliverables are still met and you've done your taxes and the main bits. But it's a constant juggle, and I think it's about accepting that it might not grow as quickly as you want it to grow, but I'm really delighted with the response so far and how much it has grown over the I'm not even a year old, it's only a baby business.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this Christmas because I didn't really get a good run at last Christmas. I launched so late in November, so I'm really looking forward to to help.
And there's a market coming up as well where we're both taking part.
Yes,
you're organising it,
Well, so are you. We're all doing our thing. Looking forward to that. And it's nice because it's such a mix of pre-loved and just conscious parenting as well, and so I'm really looking forward to that.
That'd be amazing.
29th of September. And Little Roo is such a great venue. It's in the Little Roo hub, and it's such a great venue. It kind of it's a bit of a find your tribe location, for South Dublin. So Karen's lovely, and she's really created a lovely space, so it's great.
And it's so important to have your tribe. It's essential for motherhood. Is essential.
Absolutely.
For your mental health, for your physical health, to keep going and give you the energy you need, and being able to share your challenges with other people.
Absolutely.
Make fun of it if necessary.
Laugh
and
about it, cry about it, the works. Yeah. I think it's really important, and I think you find it in different ways. So, I'm just as excited about meeting customers at the event as I am about working with the other the 5 businesses we've got. We've got You Discovery Playtime. We've got Mother Dragon, which is pre-loved maternity wear. We've got Flopsy Shop. Roisin does pre-loved children's wear. We've got Dee from Reborn Ireland, who's like a pre-loved baby marketplace. And then we've got Sharon from Milk It Mama, who's breastfeeding support and breastfeeding products and breastfeeding support. So I love that's, I suppose, when Joe and I got together to think up an idea, we wanted conscious parenting supports and conscious shopping to be at the root of the event. But I've loved getting to know all the women in business who are doing it with us, because that's
and the
part
passion
of it.
Behind it. When you buy from a small business, it's so powerful, and you receive part of that energy and love in the items you buy as well. Absolutely.
I think the personal touch is something that's so lost in a lot of bigger things, and it goes back to my whole underconsumption. You could spend your day as a business owner, a small business owner, scrolling through Instagram or whatever, and seeing the big toy shops with their pallets and pallets of stuff arriving, and I'm going,
I'm a loser.
I mean, well, yeah, I that could be me in a few years' time. But then I question, I'm like, do I want that?
I want that, yeah.
I want to maintain the core of my small business, my independent business, my business that runs on my passion. And I mean, yes, okay, a warehouse would be lovely, and not my attic.
We get carried away with those things.
We do. Yeah. And I think, ultimately, it's about when you're selling a product or a service as a small business, you're selling your passion as well. And I think that can so often get lost in a more hustle environment. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to check in and, pause sometimes, step outside, get that emotion out of the way, and be like, okay, what do I really want? Because you go out on a tangent and you have to come back and pull yourself back and be like, what do I really want? Why am I doing this?
And it's not to take away from their success, because they've built...
No, not at all, but they might be on a different mission.
They've worked hard. Yeah. But it's exactly, it's like, well, what's my goal? What's my vision for it? And it's the same with parenthood as well, I think.
Absolutely,
you can compare yourself to... the best is because I'm so into open-ended toys in my own home, the play accounts, the kind of the play setups that
they
people
still make me feel awful.
Oh my God, talk about in what is it that complex? What is it? Insecurity. It's just complete insecurity around.
I'm a terrible
inferiority
parent.
complex.
I'm a terrible
That's what
parent.
it is. Yeah. Like, how come I can't come up with a setup like that. Like I have almost all of those things there.
And we forget that they're just doing it to make a video on most of the cases.
But also, they don't tell you how long the children played. If I set that up for my 2 children, it gets played with for 5 minutes. And it takes me 15 or 20 minutes to set it up. I'm not doing that. No. I've learned my lesson. Then I'm like, yes, pause, take the emotion out of it and go, hang on a second, this doesn't work for my family. Do you know?
Yeah. Not for any family. That's why the tough trees, that a clear example. Yeah. And I always say, like, these really good looking tough trees, kids don't enjoy that because it's already set up for them. What do? They love setting up an empty tough tree and a box beside it. I was like, what's in this box? Let's put that here and let's build a tower. And
suddenly it's a world.
And they love, but if you do it for them, take a picture on Instagram and then don't mix the colours of the play though.
Yeah. What's the point in that? Yeah. Let them get stuck in. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's finding that balance and just being okay with your reasons. Why am I doing this? We went out for a day once, the farm or something. Came back, I lay down on the couch, took my phone. They were playing in the sitting room. And then I see this video of a dad that just set up an obstacle course in the sitting room for the kids. And he was doing and I'm like, I'm such a bad parent because I'm lying down on the couch on the phone while the kids are playing
all day with them.
Exactly.
You forget, we do our best and then we still knock ourselves down. Yeah. It's a big challenge. It's a challenge in all areas of life.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to just not compare and, just live as best you can. There isn't a manual for this, and Instagram or anywhere else or TikTok or anywhere would lead you to believe that there's a manual out there because people are doing it better than you. There isn't. People are just trying their best, no more than you are, and all you can give it is your best. And that's in every sphere of life. So you could be talking about parenthood, could be talking about business ownership, anything. Mm-hmm. Exercise. What's that?
Let's not get there.
Yeah, this is it. It's just one of those things that you just have to accept that you can only do what you can do, and that and the kids,
and it's enough, and that's all kids want. If you think back, anyone listening, pause for a minute and think back of your own childhood and think of 1 or 2 memories that you think they were good memories, good times. And notice how simple things they were.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be
complicated. And that's what's going to be a meaningful memory for your own children. Yeah. It's not, the trip of a lifetime. It's not the most expensive toy. It's not, with all the little robot that does everything. It's not that. It's you being there, calm. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to brush my hair? I it the other day. I was so tired. I was like, I need to lie down. I was like, okay, fine, you brush my hair. Mm-hmm. This is my son brushing my hair while I'm just sitting there lying down because I'm really tired.
Mm-hmm. That's a lovely moment of connection with your children. It doesn't have to be this big thing, Yeah, just moments of connection throughout the day. And that's another thing I wanted to say, about, when people come up to me and say, what does this toy do?
Yeah.
I love that question.
You tell me.
Yeah. But also I'm like, well, so the children will know what to do with it. But if they don't, if you were to get down on the floor with them and do it together, you'd remember, because these are often toys, these more traditional toys. And I don't say it in a judgy way. I just go, but it's an opportunity.
It's in you,
to
believe
get down
in yourself,
and play together. And you can walk away after 5 minutes because they will be immersed in their imagination, and you can leave. But those 5 minutes will be such a wonderful moment where you can pass on a value of play that you were taught. It's just gone because adult life has taken over. And I love the name of your podcast because it's about rediscovering our own childhood as well as their childhood.
Yeah.
And, it's exactly that. We all have memories of these very simple ways in which we played, and it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to have batteries, and it doesn't have to, it can be really simple, and it can be outside. Even if it's raining, it can be outside. And, all these things that people just kind of have shied away from over time.
It's the busyness. Because we're so busy.
And replaced by the convenience of certain ways of doing things that actually, if we go back to basics, it's not that much more complicated. It's not that much more time consuming. It's a mind shift. Once you make that mind shift, and nobody's perfect, that's the other thing I'll say is I've only learnt this. This has been my learning journey, do you know, like, and way more on my second child's play journey and childhood journey than on my first. Because, you know, there's a lot of noise out there. So you're not going to get it right. That's okay too. Like, but it's what is right? What is wrong?
No.
You know, you just do you and don't have any regrets. Just if you want to change your mindset and shift the play to more, it's never too late to do that, and to teach your kids, because we all have, like, we're the lucky generation. We remember a time before screens, we remember a time before internet, we remember, you know, us over 35s, we're the lucky generation where we can pass on those traditional ways of play to our children and hope that they'll then be able
and not
to
just the
carry
games
that
but
on.
also the happiness that we still have with us from that time.
Yeah. Because life in the world is a very anxious, scary place, and it's a very scary place to be a child in compared to when we were growing up. So we're in uncharted waters as parents navigating this. But I think that ultimately, if you want to make changes, those changes are easy to do. Like, it's not about doing anything perfectly. It's about making whatever little imperfect changes you can in any sphere. So whether that's less of the disposable type toys or less of the party bags, take your pick, less screen, anything, choose anything and start anywhere. And it'll spiral, it'll grow, because if you've got that will to change something, then it kind of impacts other aspects. And that's where I find myself. Like, I wasn't always so conscious.
But
I
it's about
think
observing what's
makes
going
you
on
conscious.
and questioning.
Yeah, parenthood makes you question, exactly, and question what you want to do and what example you want to set. And then, you know, if you do that with intent, it'll happen. It'll slowly just start to happen. My husband thinks I'm mad.
Mad is good. We like mad. And what's your goals for next year? What would you like to say at the end of the year next year? I did this.
Oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about next year. I'm just trying to get through this year.
This year.
No, like, I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I have some lovely markets lined up for this year. I'm really looking forward to a great season of meeting customers. I think it's great to pass on the love for, especially the pre-loved, in person, because people go, oh my God, what a great idea. And then they see it's different. Like, I try and obviously portray the products online, but
it's not the same.
It's completely different in person. So it's great to see people like going, oh my God, yeah, that's like new. I'll take that. I'll get that. You know, that really gives me a buzz. So I'd love to see the pre-loved grow, maybe do a few pre-loved toy swaps, and things like that in the new year. That would be fantastic. And maybe a few more pop-ups, a few more pre-loved and parenting pop-ups, like the one we're having in Blackrock at the end of the month. That would be fantastic. If we could build that to become like a quarterly event, that would be really, really fab. And maybe a few other things along the way. But just kind of just slow, sustainable growth, and maybe a few new products into the Irish market that are a little less known. I certainly do have a few up my sleeve now before in the next few months.
Don't say it.
But a few more lesser known brands that will really open up the world of play for kids, you know, and for parents who want to try something different and try something quirky or unusual. Like, I'm there for it. So
amazing. And as a mom, what's the most important thing you want for your child, for your children, for them to grow up and be like?
I want them to see that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to be imperfect, that it's okay to change your mind about things, that it's okay to move around and do different things and figure out what's working, what's not working. So I think I'm a living example to them of all of those things.
That was my next question. How do you do that?
I think I am, because I'm a bit of a chameleon now at this stage. I don't know what's around the next corner, but I'm no longer kind of afraid of that, where I would have been like, being an entrepreneur means you have to take risks. Like, you just have to take the plunge and hope for the best at some point in time. So that's something I think that I'm kind of living and showing them. I remember my eldest was really upset when I left my lad. They're 9 and 5, nearly 6 and nearly 10. Yeah. So I remember my eldest was really upset when I left my last job. Paid job, you know, employed job. And she was like, oh, but I loved that job. I'm like, well, yeah, I did too.
You can have it.
But it's funny because she's full on entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I don't think she'll
She's unemployable.
She's unemployable. But like, that's what I've come to realize, is that, you know, I don't like, it's just lovely to have the flexibility to be able to be there for them and to be able to show them that you can do both. Not perfectly, imperfectly, but you can still do it. Yeah. That's what I think.
I love that.
Yeah, I think
so powerful. And you're showing them with example, which is the best teaching.
Just living life. And, you know, we're very lucky. We're very privileged. And we're very, you know, just lucky to be here and have our health and our lives and the roof over our heads. And it's about, you know, gratitude and just humility and kindness and just living your best life, trying to live your best life.
I love that.
And to bring people along with you. Like,
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to share your own story on our podcast, please get in touch through our social media. Don't forget to like, share and follow so you'll never miss out on upcoming episodes. See you next time!